So when you're on your back, just kick either leg to the ceiling and pull it in for a stretch. And while we're doing these hamstring stretches, always think about your breath. Breath is up high in the rib cage, your abs are tight and pulled in. Shoulders are shrugging down out of the ears and lengthening the back of the neck. Pull that straight leg in a little deeper. With the lower leg, you make it a little longer, but remember you can always keep the knee bent with the foot flat on the floor, that lower leg if you need to. You're going to take the lifted leg and drop it out to the side, open up the hip. Try to stretch a little deeper if you can. And keep shoulders down out of the ears. Stretch a little deeper for one more breath. And then bring the leg up and cross over the center line. But remember to keep your hips squared off facing the ceiling. Keep both legs long and straight. When you bring the leg back to center, we are going to switch. So same thing on the other side, pulling it straight in for that deep hamstring stretch. Hopefully you're not gripping into the neck, the shoulders are shrugging down out of the ears. Draw the navel in a little deeper. When you're ready, let the leg fall out to the side. So keeping the hips squared off facing the ceiling. Don't let that leg fall so far out that the opposite hip rocks up off the mat. Trying to keep tension out of the neck. Keep doing the lateral rib cage breathing, breath up high in the ribs. Forcing every ounce of air out of the lungs on the exhale. When you bring the leg back up, cross over the center line and pull it in as deeply as possible. Hopefully on every exhale, the leg comes in a little further. Now when you center the leg, we'll hold the ring between your hands. If you don't have the ring, you can hold your ball or you can do just reaching arms. Both knees are bent with the feet flat on the floor. Shoulders roll down and back, and we're just going to move the scapula. So if you have the ring or ball, press into it. Feel the shoulder blades spread apart in the upper back, and then slide the shoulder blades together towards your spine. Your arms are straight the whole time. Upper back spreads apart, and then pulling together towards your spine. Retracting the shoulder blades, and then protracting, pulling together. Tighten your abs a little more. Do one more scapula movement, shoulder blades pulling apart, and then pull the shoulder blades together and then slide them down towards your hips. Keeping the feet flat on the floor, we're gonna do our bridging. So rock your pelvis back so you feel the imprint, and then lift your hips up. Hold your hips up high into the bridge, press the toes into the mat, and then slowly roll your spine right back down into that flat back, the imprint. Take a deep breath, exhale, lifting the hips. Remember, if you have that ring or ball, squeeze it a little tighter. Remember to keep the shoulder blades slid down, rolling your spine right back down to the floor. We'll do one more bridge, lifting the hips, hold at the top for a deep breath up high in the rib cage, and then slowly rolling back down. Now maintain that imprinted spine. I want you to bring the upper spine up this time. So head and shoulders come up off the floor, and then head and shoulders rest back down. Keep squeezing that ball or ring if you have it. Otherwise, keep long, straight arms just reaching. Now, hopefully you're pulling up on the pelvic floor and you're pulling the belly in. Every time you curl up, you're forcing the air out of the lungs. Do one more curl up. If you can, try to stay curled up, but feel free to rest head and shoulders back down to the floor. If you can, stay here in flexion. You're gonna bring the legs up to tabletop position. And keep your knees in line with the hips so the knees aren't squeezing together. We're going to do the alternating toe tap. So one leg lowers, bring it back up. Other leg lowers and bring it back up. Try to stay in flexion the whole time. So you're curling up, looking into the belly. Draw the navel in deeper. Squeezing that ring a little tighter, that ball a little tighter. Do one more alternating set. And then when you bring it back to center, you can choose to rest your head down if you want, but now glue the legs together and both legs lower and lift. Remember, as those feet get closer to the floor, your abs have to work harder. So pull the belly in deeper. Try and keep the abdomen flat, navel drawn in towards your spine. Try to stay curled up, shoulders still shrugged down. Do one more. And then you get a rest on your feet, rest on head and shoulders. Keep your ring or your ball, but just relax the arms and drop your knees to one side. And then we'll do the same spine twist to the other side. Now we are going to go into the hundreds. So if you wanted to, you could use your ring or ball between your ankles. You could put that ball between your knees. It's not really ideal to put the ring between the knees, but ankles is better for both. So squeeze that ring or ball, curl up, look into the belly, lengthen the arms and legs out to straight, and you're doing your 100. Inhaling for 5 counts, exhaling for 5. Remember, the breath is up high in the rib cage. Your abs are tight and pulled in. Your shoulders are shrugging down out of the ears. Try to get those straight legs lower if you can, but if you need to make it easier, bring your legs back up to the ceiling or back into tabletop. Inhaling for the 5, exhaling for the 5. Remember, shoulders are still sliding down out of the ears. Keep chin to your chest, watching your abs stay tight and pulled in too. Inhaling for the 5 counts. This is your last 10. Now after you exhale, hold everything still, reach longer arms, longer legs, and then you can bring it right back in to rest. So get rid of the ring or the ball if you have it. Both legs are straight down onto the floor, and your arms are going to reach way back overhead, so you stretch through your abdomen. Now pull your ribs in and bring both arms to the ceiling. Glue your legs together. Tighten your abs, pull the belly in. We're going up for roll up. So head and shoulders are going to come up and come all the way up over the legs and stretch. Stack your spine up to straight, grow tall, and then roll back down one vertebrae down at a time. Remember, if it's not a smooth roll up, you could do the modified version where you start seated and then roll down just before you feel like you're going to fall. You stop and then come right back up over the legs. You do not have to go all the way down to the floor if you can't maintain that smooth movement. Heeling your spine up. Remember, shoulders still shrug down out of the ears. Draw the navel in deeper. Reaching your arms up. And then all the way out over the legs. The next time you get down to the floor, let's just stay down there on the floor. And then bring your hands down by your side. We'll do some leg circles. So one leg reaches the ceiling. Hopefully the lower leg stays on the floor, but you can keep that lower leg bent. We're going to start your circle. Either direction is fine. Inhale as you start, exhale as you finish. Reach for longer legs, pointing the feet, reaching through the toes. And pay attention to your pelvis. So your hip bones face the ceiling the whole time. Ideally, there's no movement in your core. We're just moving through the hip of that circling leg. When you bring it to the ceiling, pause and then flex both feet and go in the opposite direction. You're crossing over that central line as you pull the leg up. Use your breath too to help you get through the circles. Inhale as you start, exhale as you finish. Think longer legs, keep the feet flexed. You have one more circle. When you bring that leg up, you're going to pause, grab onto that straight leg and pull it in for a stretch. And then when you're ready, you're going to switch. Point the feet, reach through the toes, square off your hips, maintain the position of the pelvis as we're circling. Inhale as you start, exhale as you finish. So shoulders are slid down out of the ears, lengthening the back of the neck. Focus on the breath. Exhale as you're pulling that leg back up to the ceiling. When you're ready, you're going to flex both feet and go in the opposite direction. Imagine you're in that tight corset around your waist, pulling the belly in deeper. Shoulders still shrugged down out of the ears. Hopefully you're still working the arms in upper back or pressing the arms into the floor. You have your last circle. When you bring that leg to the ceiling, hold it straight, long, flexed foot, and pull it in for the stretch. Now I want you to bring both legs together to tabletop position. We're going to go into our ab series. We're going to try to do this curled up, looking into our belly the whole time, but you can keep head and shoulders down if you want. So when you're ready, curl up, look into the belly, hug one knee in, opposite leg reaches long, and then you switch. Remember to exhale when you reach that leg long, forcing air out of the lungs, fully extending that leg like you're reaching out of the hip socket. Do one more on each side and then glue the legs together. Keep them glued together. Both legs reach forward as your arms reach overhead and you come right back to center. As those arms reach back, your shoulders slide down. Always focus on the inner thighs too, squeezing the legs together. Remember to pull up on the pelvic floor, pull the belly in. Keep the ribs pulled in too, so when those arms reach up, your rib cage doesn't flare up. This is your last one, and then when you bring it back to center, we go into scissor kicks. So one leg pulls towards your face, opposite leg falls to the floor. Try to pull that leg in a little deeper on each exhale. Remember, you can deepen this by reaching out through the heels. Try not to grip into your neck. Do your last one on each side, and then bring both legs to the ceiling, head, shoulders, and arms all get to rest onto the floor. Gluing the legs together, both legs lower and lift. And you're trying not to change the position of the pelvis or the lumbar spine as the legs go down and up. So wherever your spine is, when your legs are straight up, maintain it when the legs lower. So focus on squeezing the inner thighs together, pressing the arms into the floor. Still keep chin towards your chest. Do your last lower and lift. And then when you bring the legs to the ceiling, bring them to tabletop. Fingers release together behind your head and curl up, and then twist. Exhale on that rotation. So think about wringing the air out of the lungs. Keep elbows wide and shoulders slid down. Make sure you're fully extending that leg out to straight, reaching through the toes. Good. One more full set, and then when you bring it back to center, you can finally rest. Lengthen the legs out onto the floor so you get another stretch through your abdomen again. So when the legs are long, the arms reach back, and lift the rib cage towards the ceiling. When you bring your hands down by your side, bring both legs to the ceiling to tabletop. We are going to go into roll over, so make sure there's nothing behind you that you're going to kick. With the legs glued together, you could start with a little prep where you lift the hips up a little and then drop your hips down. So just a little hip lift and lower. If you can, bring the legs all the way overhead so your knees are right in front of your face. Keep the legs straight and then slowly roll your spine right back down until you rest the hips. Hopefully your head and shoulders do not come off the floor when you lay your spine back down to the floor. Still focus on squeezing the legs together, rolling down slow, one vertebrae at a time. We'll do two more if you can. Still draw the navel in. Keep taking the deep breaths. This is our last rollover. Try and get those legs long and straight and your feet flexed. After you rest your hips back down to the floor, bend your knees so your feet are flat. Your feet are parallel and your heels are lined up with your sit bones. So there's a little gap between your feet. We're going to do our bridging. Feel free to put a ball between your knees if you have that ball. Otherwise, you just keep knees in line with hips. Hands are by your side, and you're going to lift your hips up. So peel your spine up, lift the hips up into your bridge, and hold it. Take a deep breath in, and then slowly roll back down until you rest. Always think pulling up on the pelvic floor, lift the hips up on the exhale, hold at the top, really focus on the back of the thighs. So you're really trying to press the feet into the mat, rolling down. We'll do one more, lift up, hold at the top for a deep breath, and then exhale, rolling back down. Now we are going to do single leg bridging, so keep that ball if you have it. Your thighs are parallel, just one leg is extended out to straight. If you don't have the ball, just keep your thighs parallel, knees in line with your hips. Exhale as you peel the spine up, hold at the top for a deep breath, and then roll back down. Now if it's too much on the single leg, you could put your foot back down and keep doing both feet on the floor with a regular bridge. Rolling down. Let's do two more of these. So we'll do 4 single leg. Lifting, still lengthening that leg out, reaching through the toes. And then one more, lifting up. Hold at the top for a deep breath, and then roll back down. Keep squeezing it. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. So we'll do 4 single leg on this side. Exhale as you lift up. Hopefully you're rolling down through your spine even, one vertebrae at a time, tucking the tailbone, pull the belly in, lifting the hips on the exhale, hold at the top for a deep breath, and then rolling back down on the next exhale. Always pulling up on the pelvic floor, press the toes into the floor, reach that leg a little longer. This is going to be our last bridge. Exhale on the lift. And then when you roll back down, keep your hips down. Cross that lifted leg ankle over the knees. You are gonna have to get rid of that ball. And then pull it in for the hip stretch. And then when you're ready, you're gonna do the same thing on the other side. Remember, shoulders are down, your abs are still tight and pulled in. We're gonna go into our side leg series next. So if you have that ring or ball, bring it with you when you roll over to your side. Line your spine up with the back edge of the mat. But you have two options with the upper body that I always give you is propped up under your elbow or laying all the way down onto your side, resting head on the lower arm. But if you can prop up, remember to push the floor away so we're not sinking into the shoulder, and you're gonna lift the top leg up and down. If you have that ball or ring, press it into the floor. Pull the belly in deeper. And the legs can stay forward slightly to help with balance, but if you want to challenge yourself, draw them back so you're in a straight line from hips down to your feet. I should say straight line down the center, the back of your mat or the center of your mat. Keep pressing into the ring. Think longer, straighter legs too. Now hold the leg at hip height, reach through the toes and draw a little circle. Hopefully you're still working that lower arm, pushing down into the floor. Roll the shoulders down and back. Reach for a longer leg out of the hip. Imagine you run that tight corset around your waist, cinching the waistline a little tighter. Now flex the foot and go in the opposite direction. Still reaching out of the hip, keeping that foot flexed, think longer leg. Press harder into the ring. Now hold the foot flex, hold the leg at hip height because we're doing our kicks forward and then back. Every time you kick that leg back behind you, you really have to swing with control so we're not moving the upper body. If you can, maintain the pressure on the ring the whole time. When that leg goes behind you, still think about squeezing the glutes. Pull the belly in deeper. We'll do one more forward kick. Last kick back, and then bring the legs together. We're gonna go down onto our side. If you want, you can put the ring or the ball between your ankles on this one. And when you lay all the way down to your side, you're gonna squeeze that ring or ball. If you don't have it, just keep the legs glued together and then both legs lift and lower. Exhale as you lift. Shoulders still shrugged down out of the ears. If you don't need this top hand on the mat in front of you, you can take it over the top leg to challenge your balance. Squeeze that ball or ring a little tighter. Now lift and hold and squeeze. Just glue those legs together if you don't have the ring or ball, still breathing. And then when you're ready, you can rest back down. We're gonna do a little hip stretch here and to work our lower leg, inner thigh. So get rid of that ring or ball. You're gonna bend the top leg, put the foot flat on the floor, and then we're gonna lift and lower the lower leg. Really focus on the inner thigh of that lower leg. Still breathing. And hopefully you're working your upper back too. Slide the shoulders down. Do 3 more lifts. And the last one, lift and hold it. Don't let the leg fall. I just really focus on that inner thigh. Try to lift that leg a little higher. Still breathing. And then you can rest back down. We're gonna bring our ring or ball with you as you go to the next side. Remember to line yourself up with the back edge of the mat. Legs go forward slightly to help with the balance. Otherwise, to challenge your balance, draw them back. If you're propped up under the elbow, push the floor away so you stay lifted out of the shoulder. We're pointing as you lift the leg, flexing as you lower. And every time those legs meet together to the floor, you want to think about the inner thigh, gluing the legs together. Pulling the belly in. Shoulders are shrugging down. Don't let that lower leg get lazy. Keep it a tight, strong working leg. When you bring the leg to hip height, reach to the toes and draw little circles. Keep that lower arm strong, pushing the floor away. Remember, you could go all the way down to the floor too if you didn't want to stay propped up under your shoulder or elbow. Longer leg, reaching out of the hip. Pull the belly in deeper. Flex the foot and go in the opposite direction. Keep that lower leg working. Even focus on your breath too. Holding the foot flexed and leg at hip height, swing forward and back. Try not to move the upper body. Still maintain pressure on that ball or ring if you have it. Shoulders are shrugging down. Every time that leg goes back behind you, you're squeezing the glutes. Think about every muscle group is working hard. This is our last forward kick, last kick back behind you, and then draw the legs together. And we're gonna put the ring or ball between the ankles if you have it. Otherwise, just glue the legs together. Make sure you're in a straight line from top of the head down to your feet, and then both legs lift. You can keep this top hand in front of you on the mat if you need it. Otherwise, take it over the top leg. Squeeze those legs together, making the inner thighs work harder, and reaching longer legs too. Pull the belly in. Always think pulling up on the pelvic floor. Now you're gonna lift the legs and just hold them up and focus on squeezing the legs together. Get them longer, straighter. Lift a little higher, and then you can finally relax. Go ahead and get rid of the ring or ball if you have it. You're gonna bend the top leg, put it flat on the floor, and the lower leg is gonna lift up and down. That lower leg is reaching as long as you can get it, pointing the feet, reach to the toes. Pull the belly in, shoulders shrug down. And you feel the inner thigh getting a little hotter. Do 3 more lifts. Now lift and hold it and try to keep it there. Still breathing, still pulling up on the pelvic floor. Lift the leg a little higher. Shoulders are shrugging down. And then when you're ready, you can relax. Come onto your belly so we can do our baby swan, and then we'll go into our full swan. So we start off with your arms bent, palms are flat on the floor, shoulders shrugged down out of the ears, your legs are long and about as wide as your mat. You're just gonna use your back extensors to lift the rib cage up. Now you can keep the arms on the floor, they are kind of lazy here. If you can work a little harder just to prevent cheating, lift those arms up off the mat when you come up. Pull the belly in, so when you lift the rib cage, the abdomen does not push downward into the mat. Hopefully rolling the shoulders down and back, pinching your spine with shoulder blades. Still focus on the breath. We'll just do 2 more. And then 1 more lift up and try to hold it here. Just stay here a little longer. Remember, you can always come out early if you want. Your shoulders shrug down out of the ears. Still breathing. And then you can finally rest back down. Keep your hands on the floor, because we're gonna lift up the same way, so you use your back to start the motion when you lift, and then this time your hands push into the floor, so your arms have to work a little more as you come up, and then lower all the way back down. Lifting as far as that low back will let you, so we're coming up for our full swan. Try not to lock the elbows, don't let the shoulders slide up into your neck. Still think about hollowing out the abdomen, even long legs reaching back, reaching down to the toes. Do 1 more. When you lower back down, you're gonna stay down, lengthen both arms long and straight, so they're reaching overhead. You are gonna keep your neck in neutral, so you just look down to the mat. We're gonna lift everything up. So you lift the legs, lift the rib cage, reach those arms long, and then lower everything back down. If you don't wanna add the arms into it, you don't have to. You can just keep your upper body stable with your arms on the floor and just focus on lifting the legs. If you can, lift everything up and then lower back down. We'll do 2 more. Still try to hollow out the abdomen. This last one goes right into swimming, so feel free to stop early if you want, but now we're pumping the arms and legs. Up and down motion, reaching longer limbs. Still shoulders slide down, keep your neck in neutral. Focus on that lateral rib cage breathing. Breath up high in the rib cage. On the exhale, you're forcing every ounce of air out of the lungs. Try to lift everything a little higher. Take 1 more deep breath in, and then you can rest back down. Now use your hands underneath your forehead for neck support. You can keep your neck in neutral and look to the floor, or you can turn to the side if that feels better. But we're gonna lift both legs, hold them up, and do beats where you open and close the legs. So you're tapping those heels together. Long, straight legs too. Reach back through the toes. Shoulders shrug down. Lift everything a little higher if you can. Do one more little beat, and then you can finally rest back down. Pick up your hips and sit back to your heels. Little child's pose stretch. Rounding your spine. C curving. Now we are going to come to seated. We're going to do our spine stretch forward. So you can use your ball, your ring, or if you have weights, you can use those. Otherwise, it would just be reaching arms forward. Regardless, everybody's going to reach their arms forward. But if you don't have any props, it's okay. Sit up tall and straight. The legs are straight. The legs are about as wide as your mat. Make the most vertical spine you can make. And then the upper spine flexes forward. Hopefully not gripping into your neck. You want to feel those shoulders slid down out of the ears. And then stack your spine right back up to straight. Exhale forward. Inhale, grow tall. Now you should feel your sit bones pressing down into the floor, and you want to maintain that position of the pelvis as you're moving your thoracic spine. Stretching forward, shoulders shrug down, your abs are tight and pulled in. Keep the legs strong so they're not lazy. 2 more. Back up, and your last one. It's like a little seated crunch. Pulling bottom ribs towards your hips, and then stack right back up. Good, glue the legs together. They don't necessarily have to be together, just a little closer, not so wide. You're gonna rotate on this one, twisting to one side, come back to center, twist the other side. So you could do separate arms, reaching one arm behind you, but if you have that ring, it's okay to keep pressing into the ring and to rotate your spine. Exhale, twist, inhale, back to center. Try to grow taller and straighter. Shoulders are shrugging down. Finish this last set. Hopefully it's an even set. We finished on the opposite side you started, and we're gonna hold it. So now the next one's half rollbacks. Your knees are gonna be bent with your feet flat on the floor. Your arms are reaching out in front of you. You could use the same practice if you want, or just do free reaching arms. You're just gonna tuck the tailbone, fall back halfway, and then come right back up, sitting tall. Glue the legs together on this one. And then focus on the back of the thighs. You're pressing your feet downward into the mat. Tuck the tailbone, falling back. Pull up, try to grow taller. Still think about narrowing the waistline, pulling the belly in. Last 2. You got 1 more, falling back. When you come back up, we're gonna hold it. Now we're adding the rotation, just like the spine twist. Remember to always come back to this sitting tall. As you fall back, you twist to one side, reach an arm behind you, come back up, and we'll go to the other side. If you have the ring between your hands, it's okay to just keep squeezing that ring as you rotate from side to side. Try to keep the knees together the whole time. Keep your feet flat on the floor. Twisting your upper spine as far as you can rotate without changing the position of the lower body. So try not to let those legs tip as you rotate. We're gonna give you a little more challenge on this last set. So let's fall back and then hold the rotation. So hang out there in the twist, reach longer arms if they're reaching from center, squeeze the legs together, pull the belly in, come back up, and we'll go to the other side. Now hold that rotation, focus on the obliques, press the feet to the floor, pull up on your pelvic floor, and then you come right back up to center. And then you get rid of your props because we're gonna go into rolling like a ball. Make sure you scoot forward a little bit so you have enough space behind you, your hands on your shins, shoulders shrug down out of the ears. You could just stay here and hold, but if you can, roll back to your shoulders and then come right back up to balance. Hopefully not letting the feet touch the floor. Inhale as you roll back, exhale, pulling up. And if you want that extra challenge, let go of the legs, but keep that same ball shape as you roll back and forth. Focus on gluing the legs together, pulling the belly in, still pulling up on the pelvic floor. Just do 1 more. When you're back up, we're gonna hold it. Let's go right into teaser from a seated position. Take breaks if you need it. Move your hands to back your thighs and legs lift to at least tabletop position. Shoulders shrug down out of the ears, pull the belly in. If you can, lengthen legs up to straight and hold them straight. You really need strength in the quads, flexibility in the back of the legs. If you can, let go. Reach those arms long, lift the rib cage higher, shoulders shrug down, pull the belly in. When you're ready, you can finally rest back down. We're gonna come up onto our hands and knees and do just to come up to your knees because we'll do our thigh stretch. If you don't want to kneel, you just stay seated. So thigh stretch first, knees underneath your hips, hands are by your side. You could use the ring in your hands if you want. I think I'll switch it up and do that. You could squeeze the ball, you could hold the weights. We're gonna hinge from the knees. Inhale as you fall back, exhale forward. Shoulders shrug down out of the ears. You're pulling the belly in, pull up on the pelvic floor, and going back as far as those thighs will go. So you know that you're not gonna break at the hips. Let those thighs give out. Focus on the inner thighs too, like you're squeezing the legs together. Pull the belly in a little deeper. Do one more. Fall back and hold it if you can. And now we're just gonna move the arms. Arms lift and lower. Still think about squeezing the glutes. Still tighten those inner thighs and pulling up on the pelvic floor. Stay in the thigh stretch. Squeeze that ring or ball a little tighter. You can do your last one. And then when you bring yourself forward, give yourself a little break. So we'll go ahead and get rid of the ring or ball because we're gonna go over to the side and face towards the long edge of your mat. We'll do our kneeling leg kicks. So tip onto one hand, reach the opposite leg long. This top free hand can come behind your head, it can reach to the ceiling, or come onto your hip, either one is fine. But this top leg is gonna go up and down. So this lower arm that's on the floor, push it harder into the mat, keep it strong. Keep the shoulders slid down out of the ears. Trying to work those abductors again, getting that leg up as high as you can. Pull the belly in deeper. Remember, keep your neck long too so you don't drop your head to the floor. Keep your neck in line with the rest of your spine. Lift that leg as high as you can and just hold it there. If you can, add the kick. So you swing forward and back. Feel free just to hold that leg lifted and stationary if you don't want to do the forward and back motion. Pulling the belly in. Good, one more forward kick. Last kick back. And then center the leg, we'll just do a little feel-good stretch here before we go into a side plank. So when we go into the side plank, remember that you could stay with a straight arm is obviously the hardest version. You could go down to your elbow if you needed to. But we're gonna hopefully keep both arms straight, one arm reaches to the ceiling, and then when you're ready, you're gonna bring the other leg up to straight so that we're off that lower knee. Good, if you wanted to, you could redo this on your elbow if there's too much pressure on that lower arm. Still breathing. Now if you're ready, 10 more challenge, we're gonna do leg lifts of your top leg. Top leg goes up and down. Feel free just to hold this side plank. Come out early if you need to. Good. Do one more. You're gonna rest that foot down to the mat and be forward or back. And then we're gonna come over to the other side. So we're gonna do kneeling kicks as we go to the other arm. So when you're ready, tip over, reach the opposite leg long. Remember the top arm can be straight, it could be bent, it could be hand on hip. Lifting that top leg on every exhale. Pulling the belly in. This lower arm is strong, pushing the floor away. Shoulders shrug down out of the ears. Now lift that leg as high as you can and keep it up. You're gonna swing forward and back. Every time that leg goes back behind you, think about squeezing the glutes. Try not to move anything in the upper body. You're stiff and strong, your core is pulled in. When you bring the leg to center, you get a rest down, just do a little feel-good stretch. Reach that top arm to the ceiling, so both arms are reaching away from center. Remember, you can come down to your elbow if you need to. We're gonna bring both legs up to straight. Good, make sure those ankles are strong. When you're ready, lift the top leg. Stay balanced. Pull the belly in. You could skip this leg lift if you don't want to do it. You have your last two lifts. And then when you're ready, rest down that foot, could be forward or back. And then we're going to come on down to our hands and knees. So we'll do a little extension and flexion. So we're on all fours here. Palms are right underneath your shoulders, knees are underneath your hips. Round your spine towards the ceiling. And then drop your rib cage down. So it's forward and tailbone reaching to the ceiling. Feel the shoulder blades spread apart, tucking the tailbone under, and then sinking into the extension, forward and tailbone up. We'll do one more deep breath, and then exhale. When you come back to neutral here in this long straight line, curl the toes under. If you can, lift the knees up. Knees up is always optional. You can just keep the knees down. But we still want a long straight line through your spine, so don't sink the face to the floor or drop chin to your chest. When you're ready, we're gonna add the leg lift. So keeping that leg bent 90 degrees, just swing it up, lower back down. Remember your abs are still tight and pulled in. Shoulders are still shrugging down out of the ears. Try not to grip into your neck. You have your last one on each side. And then when you're ready, you're gonna go ahead and rest your knees down, go into a little child's pose stretch, and lengthen the arms. Okay, we're gonna do one more exercise. Here's leg pull. So we're facing the floor on this one in our plank. Feel free to skip it, take a breather if you need to. Otherwise, go right into your straight legs, straight arms. Feel free to stay on your knees in a little modified plank or come down to your elbows if you need to. When you're ready, we're gonna lift one leg up, lower down, lift the other leg up and lower down. It's not a huge lift because we don't want to change the position of your pelvis or the lumbar spine when you lift that leg. So just squeeze the glutes, lift the leg, nothing in the spine is moving. Make sure those arms are strong. You should even feel the shoulder blades spreading apart. You can do your last one on each side. And then when you're ready, you can go back into the little child's pose stretch. Give yourself another breather. And then we're gonna come to seated so we can do our saw. So saw, you are gonna need some more space around you so you can separate those legs wide. So position yourself so you get your legs pretty wide. Arms are reaching away from center. Lengthen your spine, grow tall, pull the belly in. Now we're gonna twist to either side. And I want you to keep reaching those arms long and then round down into that leg. When you stack back up, you are in the rotation and then you come back to face front. So twist first, round down, stay in that twist as you stack back up to straight and then come back to center. Still taking the deep breaths, long arms, long legs, hollow out the abdomen. Try to exhale, force the air out as you round down. And both arms are always strong, reaching away from you. Think longer legs too. So when you round down, you feel that hamstring stretch. Should really be focusing on the stretch from the back side, the opposite direction where you're reaching. So when you reach over the left leg, you feel the lower back stretch on the right. And when you reach towards your right leg, you feel the left side of your back in deeper stretch. You do want to finish up that last set so that you feel even, and then you can bring your arms right back to center. Draw the legs together, and then you're gonna have your knees bent so your feet are flat on the mat, and we're gonna go back into back down to the floor to do some more bridging. But before we get down there, we're gonna do a really slow roll down. So your arms are reaching, feet flat, pressing down into the floor, tuck your tailbone, and roll down. The slowest roll down you can make, and really think scooping your abs up under the ribs, hollowing out the abdomen, always pulling up on the pelvic floor, shoulders shrug down out of the ears. Keep the feet glued to the floor, don't let them lift. Go down a little lower, so hopefully your lower back is touching the floor. Still breathing. Try not to grip into your neck. When you're ready, you can finally finish putting your shoulders onto the floor, and then head is last. So hands are down by your side, onto the floor, and your arms are pressing into the mat. So keep knees in line with your hips. We're gonna lift the hips up and stay in the bridge. Feel free to come out early if you want, but while you stay lifted in this bridge, kick your one leg to the ceiling, lower back down, kick the other leg to the ceiling and lower down. Keep the hips up, and you're trying to keep the pelvis level so that it's not dipping when that leg leaves it from underneath. Keep your arms strong and reaching, pressing into the floor. Keep taking the deep breaths. You can do one more on each side. And then when you're ready, keep both feet to the floor, take a deep breath, still pull up on your pelvic floor, and then roll your spine right back down into your rest. Hold your spine on the floor in the imprint. Take a deep breath, lift the hips up, hold the hips up again. We're gonna kick one leg to the ceiling and keep it there. Keep the leg long and straight, lowers halfway, then kick it back up. Lower and lift. Still pulling the belly in. Get those hips up a little higher if you can. You have one more. Go ahead and rest the foot to the floor. Keep the hips up. Same thing on the other side. Lower and lift. Still narrowing the waistline. Still breathing. Reach for a longer leg. is your last one. Rest the foot to the floor, take a deep breath, and then slowly roll your spine right back down to your rest. Now with your legs staying bent, let's cross right leg over the left so your legs are crossed while your knees are stacked on top of each other. So since the right leg's on top, drop the legs to the left. And just twisting and reaching. When you come back to center, we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Crossing left leg over right and drop the legs to the right. Good, reach that opposite arm out away from center. Twist a little further if you can. And then you come right back to center. Uncross the legs. I want you to find your neutral spine. So if you need to rock the pelvis a little bit, you can. Make sure hip bones and pubic bone are on the same plane. Tighten your abs, pull the belly in, and maintain this position of the lumbar spine as you bring your legs up to tabletop. Glue the legs together, press the shoulders to the floor, pull the belly in, pull your ribs in, and now both legs are going to lengthen long and straight, and then bring them right back in. Try not to change the position of your pelvis or the lumbar spine as the legs go out, and then come right back in. Pull the belly in. Now when you bring the legs right back into tabletop, turn them out into a V or a diamond shape, like a froggy squat. Both legs lengthen and then come right back in. Hopefully you're not changing the position of the lumbar spine still. Imagine you got that corset on. Focus on the inner thighs too, so you're pressing the heels together. Let's do one more just for the extra challenge. We're going to do little beats. So lengthen the legs out to straight and do little beats. Pressing those heels together, little beats, open, close, longer, straighter legs. Hold the heels together, and then you can bring it back in and give yourself a little break. So we're going to go into our teaser. So let's start with your legs straight down onto the floor, and arms are reaching straight to the ceiling. So as the upper spine comes up, one leg is going to lift, either one, and then we'll keep alternating. Remember, it's fine if it's just the upper spine, but if you can, get your whole spine up. One leg lifts as you come up, take a deep breath at the top, and then lower all the way back down to the floor. We'll keep alternating. Exhale and lift up, hold at the top for a deep breath, and then exhale, lower back down. Remember, shoulders shrug down out of the ears. Always say narrowing the waistline, pulling the belly in. Do one more set or just even up the set that you're working on. After you finish with the single leg alternating, you're going to go down to the floor, glue both legs together. If you don't want to do the full teaser, you can keep on the single leg. Otherwise, glue them together. Head and shoulders come up, the legs lift up, hold to the top for a deep breath, and then lower everything right back down, slow to the floor. So hopefully your upper body and lower body lift simultaneously, and then they lower down simultaneously back down to the floor. We'll do two more. Hold at the top for a deep breath, and then lower down. Now the last one, we get up, we're gonna stay up. Pull yourself into that teaser. Let's try to hold it up there. Feel free to come out early, but since we're up, you're gonna tip forward and rest your feet to the floor, and then give yourself a little break. We're gonna go into our mermaid next. So turn and face towards the long edge of your mat. And then when you face towards the long edge, you can sit in the mermaid position. You can sit both legs straight or cross-sitting style. So when you're ready, stretch away from your feet, shoulders shrug down, and then come right back up and stretch over the feet. Fall over and stretch. Your shoulders shrug down out of the ears. Hold this one as you're stretching away from the feet. We add the rotation. So twist and look at the floor. Twist back to face front, and then come all the way back up. We'll swing the legs to the other side. So do the whole thing on the other side. Start by stretching away from the feet. Take a deep breath. Shoulders shrug down, and then come back up. Fall over and stretch. I already lost count on the other side. I think we did 4, and on the 4th one, we added the rotation. If not, it doesn't hurt to get more stretches. So fall over, hold, twist, twist back, and then you come back up and stretch. So sit with your legs long, straight out in front of you. You can change orientation if you need to, but your legs are glued together and they're straight. Your hands are on the floor, but back behind you, and you can position the wrists however they feel comfortable. I like mine pointed out to the side. So shoulders shrug down, lift the rib cage. If you can, lift those hips up and then hold. You can always put your hips back to the floor and do these leg lifts, but if you can, keep those hips up as high as possible. Do a leg pull. Lifting that leg as high as you can to the ceiling, trying to keep your pelvis level too as you're alternating the leg lifts. Finish up this last set, and then when you're ready, you're going to rest your hips to the floor and then fold forward over the legs and stretch. Try to sink deeper into the stretch if you can. When you stack your spine up to straight, bend one leg and hold on to the back of that leg. We're going to go into tree. So sit up as tall as possible, kick that leg up, then bend it, kick up, and bend it, kick, and hold that leg straight. Walk your hands up that leg. If you can, deepen the stretch by flexing the foot, lift the rib cage higher, shoulders shrug down. Keep this leg lifted and keep that lower leg still a working leg. You're going to roll down halfway, like you're sitting in that lounge chair and hold. Now, if you can, without rotating, let go. Keep the legs where they are, still breathe. Shoulders shrug down. Bring hands back to leg. Walk to the top. Hopefully give yourself that hamstring stretch with a flexed foot, and then you can relax. We'll do the same thing on the other side. So sit up tall. You're gonna kick and bend, kick up, bend, kick, and hold that leg straight. If you can, flex the foot. Pull yourself deeper into the leg. Now walk your hands down as you fall back halfway. Try not to rotate. If you can, let go. Shoulders down, your abs are in, you're still breathing. Bring your hands back to the leg, walk to the top, and pull yourself in for the stretch. And then you can finally relax. So the leg that you're just kicking, you're gonna keep it bent, drop it to the floor for our spine twist. Sit tall, and you're gonna twist towards the bent leg side. Try to go taller. Still breathing. We'll go into our side bend too with this. So keep the legs how they are, just fold into the straight leg. Stay in that rotation so you're still looking at the bent leg. Sink deeper if you can. And then come right back up. We'll do the same rotation on the other side. So one leg's bent, one leg long. Sit tall and twist towards the bent leg. Still breathing. Shoulders are shrugging down. And then you're going to fold into the straight leg. So hollow out the abdomen. Sink a little deeper if you can. And then you come right back up. Now both legs are going to be bent for the butterfly stretch. So soles of the feet together and lean into the leg. Lean in a little deeper if you can. Let those knees fall to the floor to open up the hips. When you come back up, we're going to make our way up to our hands and knees. So we can go into a little calf stretch and into our forward fold. So when you're in this kneeling position, just lengthen one leg back to straight and feel that deep calf stretch. Remember, your abs are tight and pulled in. Hopefully they'll be tight and pulled in all day today. Shoulders still shrugged down. Sink that heel back for a deeper calf stretch. And when you're ready, you're going to switch sides. Hopefully you're not gripping into the neck, shoulders still shrugged down. When you're ready, make your way into your forward fold. So walk your hands to your feet or your feet to your hands and just hang out here in this forward fold. Shoulders shrugged down. Pull yourself into the legs. Still breathing. Now soften the knees and slowly come all the way back up to standing. When you're standing, just do a couple calf raises. So remember to keep your shoulders down, back, your abs in. You're going to lift the heels and then lower the heels. Lift and lower. Do two more. Hopefully challenging your balance too. And then you're going to rest your heels down. Now one foot goes forward, opposite foot goes back. Your legs are long and straight, and then lean forward. Bryson, get out of there. We're not done yet. And lean into it and stretch. If you can, flex that front foot to deepen the stretch. We're gonna do the same thing on the other side. Lean into it. Remember, shoulders are down, your abs are tight and pulled in. Flex the front foot. And then you can come right back down. Good job. Just stand tall. You could come down to the floor if you want, just because I have to with the computer, but shoulders up and then shoulders down. Inhale up, exhale down. With the shoulders down and back, try to keep all the tension in the neck. You can do a couple neck rolls if you want. And do your neck rolls in the opposite direction. And then after that, you guys are all done.